Hey guys, it's Elisa. Welcome back. You're on the Elisa Redwoods channel, and today we're going to do a paranormal story time where I'm going to tell you everything that happened on my ghost hunting adventure overnight weekend trip that I just got back from this weekend with my girl. So here we go. So I went on an overnight trip up to the mountains. It was a hiking trip and also a ghost hunting trip. And we stayed in the Sierras of Northern California in a haunted hotel in an old mining town. And when we first got there, the man at the lobby who also owned the hotel, I asked him straight away, is this hotel haunted? And he said that he had owned the hotel for less than a year and that he hadn't heard anything personally since he had been there about hauntings, but that there were many accounts that he had heard of before he got there. And that the hotel was very old and that he was pretty sure that it was haunted. So me and my friend went and started putting our stuff in our room, and one of the first things that my friend decided to do was to sage our room because we went with the intention for ghost hunting to find some spirits. So she decided to set some ground rules, sage our room, tell the spirits if they're there, what's allowed and what's not allowed, which is a great thing to do if you're going to go searching and digging into that area. So as she was standing right outside of our hotel room door with it open, kind of trying to get the sage started, a girl and her man and their little baby, like 5 doors down, saw her saging and said, "Hey, can you come sage our room too? We just had a salt shaker fly off our shelf." And we just looked at each other and we're like, yes. Like we knew we were gonna find some spirits. We knew that we were gonna have some paranormal experiences. So we went and she saged the woman's room. They told us a little bit more, that they had stayed there several times and that things were always happening, that the hotel was very haunted. So he was telling us that not only is this land rich with history that dates back to the 1800s as far as mining, but it goes way beyond that, of course, as far as Native Americans and how there may be many spirits there that are not at rest. So right off the bat, my friend and I were, like I said, setting boundaries, saying things like, we're wanting to make contact with you, we're wanting to communicate with you, we're wanting to see evidence of your presence here, but at the same time, you're not allowed to touch us, you're not allowed to hurt us, you're not allowed to come home with us, because I have taken one home. That'll have to be another video. She started saying, push this cup off the counter, make the TV go off, flicker the lights, just asking for evidence that they were there. And so we kind of just, after that, nothing happened immediately. We kind of were just going about our trip. We went hiking in some beautiful places. And one thing that did sort of happen right away is I went to use the restroom. And when I walked into the restroom, I flicked on the light and then poof, the light burned out. Just like that. As soon as I turned it on, I was like, okay. It definitely could be paranormal, or it could have just been the light bulb burning out when I turned it on. So I told her what happened, just so that we could note it. And then we went about our day. We went to visit some historic cemeteries, and then we decided to go and explore this abandoned mental hospital. Now, this mental hospital had in the past a patient who escaped and ended up murdering. I believe it was at least 2 of the people who work there, and there was just a lot of dark history with this building. And it was, like I said, it was completely abandoned, it was completely condemned, but it's totally still standing. So when we pulled up, the building was very old, the windows were boarded up, there was moss growing on the outside, overgrown ivy everywhere. There was an old water fountain that has not been running for a very long time. There were candles all around it as if people had been doing rituals there. There was graffiti all over the walls saying some very, very scary stuff. I will insert some video footage and or some pictures either at the beginning of this video or at the end, so stay tuned for that. And yeah, there was hallways that were dark and boarded up with the scary graffiti, and we were kind of just walking around, and I had my weapons with me because your girl don't play. And unfortunately, the place was locked up, so we could not go inside, but the grounds were pretty big and it's nestled in a forest, and there was nobody there. And so it made for a very creepy experience. We were kind of knocking on the windows. There was broken glass everywhere, knocking on the boarded up windows, just putting our ear. She was sticking her phone in the little slots that were open between the wood panels, trying to see if she could capture something on the inside. So we were having fun. It was a very creepy energy. And then we decided to go back to the hotel. We were eating and having a few drinks and just enjoying ourselves. And we then decided to explore the grounds of the hotel. There's abandoned railroad tracks. There is a restaurant that's been closed down for a long time. We were looking in the dark windows. And I don't know if you've ever stood in front of a pitch black dark window looking into a restaurant that's been closed down for a very long time. It is very spooky. This is all nestled in the forest. And as we were walking the trails and the sun was setting, I a couple of times saw something out of the corner of my eye. It was kind of white and shimmery, but it was just so fast and that's happened several times in the past, but it's kind of exciting. But I was looking for some real concrete experiences. So when we were back in the hotel room, just enjoying ourselves and having a good time, we were deep into our conversation about many esoteric subjects when all of a sudden the TV just goes off. It was on the whole time, and when we're in the middle of the conversation and it just goes off. She noticed first and she said, did you just notice that the TV just went off? And I'm like, oh my God. That's something significant when the TV just goes off, because that's the second thing now. We've got the light switch, turn the light switch and the light flew off. Now the TV went off. So it's scary, but for some reason we didn't, freak out whatsoever. We didn't really react too much. So I don't know if that contributed to the spirits wanting to get a reaction out of us. And then later on that night, as we were going to sleep, the lights were off, but we had a little lantern, and I had noticed that she had left it on. I wasn't sure if she was asleep yet because it was dark and I couldn't see her face. So I just grabbed the lantern and I shut it off. Now to shut it off, you have to turn the knob and click it, make sure it's all the way off. So I clearly remember oh, thank goodness, now it's nice and dark. Put it back on the nightstand that was in between our beds, and then I turned on my side, because I'm a side sleeper, facing away from her. Not even a minute later, I hear her say, "Shut up." And I'm like, oh my God, I just knew something was up. And before I wanted to turn over and look at her and say, what? I was like, what? Without looking at her. And she said, the lantern just came back on by itself. Woo, I get into goosebumps. I turned and looked, sure enough, the lantern is back on. So that is the third thing now that has happened. And I'm just like, okay, thank you. And we're both like, thank you. We asked for it. We asked for them to prove their presence, and they sure as hell did that. And again, we didn't really react. It was scary, but I for me at least, I was thinking, it's really late. It's 1:30 in the morning. Probably shouldn't have a huge, freak out reaction. Let's just try our hardest to fall asleep. In the morning, when we were talking and recapping what had happened the night before, and it kind of had sunken in, wow, we had several things happen, that's pretty awesome. And then she decided to tell me that when she first woke up and looked over at my bed, because I sleep on one side only, that on the other side of the bed, close to her, but on my bed, there she saw what looked like somebody sleeping. That's always the first thing you want to hear when you wake up in a haunted hotel, right? That somebody saw a spirit sleeping in your bed. When she left me alone in the room to go to the ice machine, it was dead silent in the room, and I heard shuffling on the table, in front of us where the TV is and stuff. And I had laid a bunch of my stuff, and I heard shuffling, like somebody was moving my stuff. I'm by myself, and I just look up and just stare at the stuff so that I could see. If they were going to do it again, I wanted to see it move right with my eyes. They didn't do it again, but they definitely did it once. And so there was just a lot of little things like that. I'm very pleased with how many experiences we had in that room in just a matter of, the less than probably 10 or 12 hours that we were in that room. So it was a great trip overall with exploring the haunted abandoned mental hospital and the cemeteries and the several experiences we had in the hotel room and just walking around the haunted grounds of the hotel room. It was a great trip. And I can't wait to go ghost hunting again, especially with her, because she's also a sensitive and she's an empath. And like she says, when we get together, we are just like a magnet for the spiritual realm and for the paranormal. So when, because we're going to buy some ghost hunting equipment, some real deal equipment coming pretty soon here. When we go on another trip, I will try my best to capture some evidence and kind of make it more interesting for you guys to watch. I've had many paranormal experiences in the past, so I would love to make some videos on my past experiences. So there are more to come, old experiences and new ghost hunting experiences that are coming in the future. So stay tuned. Thanks for being here. Don't forget to subscribe. Please leave me a comment, leave me a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.